Hi, welcome to Neil's Prose. This piece is a tribute to all veterans of all wars, but especially to my brothers who served in Vietnam. It's mostly my story, but woven from the voices of those who served in and around the 12th United States Air Force Hospital in South Vietnam. I call it the long shadow of a single year. From January 1969 to January 1970, I served in what was then South Vietnam. As the only neurodiagnostic technologist working alongside the only neurologist, I spent much of that year traveling across the country. I quickly realized I wasn't in Brooklyn anymore. The sights were unforgettable: the Mekong Delta rice paddies, the Central Highlands, hills and mountains, and the dense rainforests that blanketed much of the same area. There were the lowland coasts like Cam Ranh Bay, where we went to take a break from it all. Cam Ranh Bay was a vast stretch of sand leading to the stunning blue waters of the South China Sea. Even then, in 1969, I thought the area would someday become a resort, and it has. The landscape of Vietnam was as varied as it was beautiful. The beaches were idyllic. The forests were hot, muggy, and swarming with bugs. But there was more to the landscape of Vietnam than the landscape of Vietnam. For that year, we also had to navigate a year of fear. A common question on my return home was, were you scared? The answer is a complicated yes and no. I was scared during the first month. Everything was so unknown. I was scared during the last month because who wants to die just before going home? The 10 months in between, well, you can't stay scared for an entire year. But those middle months were still a roller coaster of emotions and coping. We endured near nightly rocket attacks, donning flak jackets and helmets, and taking shelter behind sandbags. During the day, as medics, we traveled into local villages to treat the ill, surrounded by soldiers with M16s, a presence that was both comforting and nerve-wracking. Most anxiety-inducing of all were the helicopter transports, skimming treetops to reach patients in areas with no place to land, yet the pilots did. We coped with this fear in many ways, raising a toast to our luck, frequently toasting with one too many, lighting up a joint to calm our nerves, or putting on a brave front for everyone except our closest friends because they knew our truths. When I came home, I thought the war was over for me, but the political and medical landscapes that followed have been with me for over 55 years. The shift from baby killer to thank you for your service was abrupt rather than gradual. It can be traced in part to 9/11. Now I'm invited to my grandchildren's schools on Veterans Day. I'm offered free meals at restaurants and receive discounts in some stores. That same post-9/11 period also brought long overdue attention to toxic exposures like the effects of Agent Orange, which impacted many of us. Today I sense another shift in the landscape. I remember cringing when I heard that John McCain was not a hero for his service in Vietnam, which included 5 years in a prisoner of war camp. Thank you for your service is still being said, but sometimes without the corresponding actions. Yes, I'm still invited to schools, and yes, Applebee's will still offer me a meal on Veterans Day, but at the same time, access to medical care through the VA is being reduced. VA employees, many of whom are veterans themselves, are being terminated. Cuts to research are either slowing or ending life-saving cancer trials. Cancer is known to be linked to Agent Orange. And now our military is being asked, supposedly as a joke, to forgo a pay raise for the good of the country. Navigating the landscape of Vietnam for 1 year has echoed through more than 5 decades of my life. Happy Veterans Day to my brothers. Thank you.